Welcome to Timberland Farms. My name's Anthony. In a previous video, you guys saw that I picked up this Case 1845. It's a straight 1845, one of the older models. But I bought this strictly for the woodyard use. I mean, it's going to be very handy outside of the woodyard, so it's not like it's just for here. But in the meantime, it's going to be parked here at the woodyard. I don't have to travel the tractor back and forth between the actual house and the farm itself and the woodyard here. They're probably about half a mile away from each other, so it's a little bit of a drive, and I definitely don't want to drive the skid steer half a mile down the road. So I got it buttoned up to the log splitter right now. I got some rounds cut. We're gonna split directly into the loader bucket. My dump trailer is already loaded, ready for another delivery tonight. So I got 2 full cord in there. All this is gonna get stockpiled, so I have extra for the next delivery. And that pile's right behind all these stacked racks behind the skid steer. And that pile's probably got 2 face cord in it. So let's see how much bigger we can make it. So this is my homemade log splitter. It's about 45 to 50 ton of splitting tonnage. It's got a 6-way wedge and it feeds onto this outfeed table. I base this build off of a Timberwolf TW5 log splitter. It has a 22 horsepower V-twin engine from Harbor Freight. It's their Predator line. But we're gonna split wood up with this thing right into the loader bucket of the skid steer. Some of you guys may have seen from last year in the videos before splitting firewood, and our setup is about the same. I'll show you, give you a walk around of the current setup, how I have the wood yard. But with the skid steer, I'm not able to get off of the machine and cut logs off the forks. I mean, I can go underneath it, but that's a huge danger and a huge no-no. So I'm just gonna use these logs here as a bucking station, very similar to how Sam's Doing Stuff does at his yard. But he's got logs set up on top of pallets. I might do something like that here in the future, where you set up a couple logs and you roll them down and cut them up, and then you can carry them over to the working station. But for now, this is what we're going to work with. The log truck driver put these logs here, and I'm just going to use it the way it is. So right now we have 2 logs. We're going to go through these 2 logs, continue splitting, and by that time that loader bucket is probably going to be full. We can go ahead and dump that and swap out the forks. First pull on our log road here. This is the pile of wood. I really would prefer if the logs were over a little bit more, give me more room over on the end that we're actually working. But we'll take the logs, pick them up from here, and carry them over to the what's going to be the live deck, pretty much. And I'll build something right there, and I'll be able to carry the logs after they're cut to the splitter. Biggest reason why I got the skid steer here is it's relatively flat here, but once you get a load on the front of the skid steer, like one of these IBC totes, or on the front of the tractor, it takes all the weight off the back of the tractor, and you just can't go anywhere. With a skid steer, 4-wheel drive, you lift something up on the front, and this operating capacity is well over what a rack of firewood weighs. So I can definitely pick it up, and plus adds more traction to the tires. But you can see here, we got the pile of logs, we have our live deck, and we have an open space so we can access the splitter. We have our skid steer station, or the dump trailer backs up to the log splitter. We have our access pile right there, and we have a little bit for a wall. We have a couple IBC totes here. We have another one that I need to open up, but there's a space here where I could put 4 racks of firewood, maybe even 6, and I got another spot over there where my off cuttings and stuff go. I got room here for just 1 rack, but this is where all my chaff and off cutting and little tiny pieces go, and I'll send this into the compost pile. But it's pretty much composting now as it is, but I'll mix that in with manure over at the farm, and then we'll spread that over in our hayfield once all the big chunks and stuff are broken down. Make good fertilizer, that's for sure. But so far I'm liking this setup. We could use a load of stone here, but I think that's enough chit chat. Let's get to work. I'll spread these apart so then the saw doesn't hit the one behind it. Now that we got that all cut up and the log splitter's loaded up with enough wood to fill the bucket halfway, we can go ahead and start splitting. Once I get all them rounds that I just cut up out of the way, I do want to move those rounds, the logs. To get all those rounds moved that I just cut up, I want to take the skid steer and forks and move those logs that we're using for our bucking station, make them a little easier for the skid steer to get in between them, kind of angle them towards the splitter here so we don't have to walk as far with the rounds. And hopefully they're going to roll towards the splitter here if we don't have to carry them as far. But let's get this thing fired up. So I already had this thing running this afternoon. It should still be somewhat warm. Shouldn't need to warm it up. So we're going to get right to it. But I'm already warm from working. I had to take my jacket off and probably end up taking this sweatshirt off. So these pieces falling on the ground right here, there's a couple wings that I need to readdress. I just used some scrap steel I had laying around. It seemed to work fine at the time, but they could have just definitely gone bigger. These right here, these are the wings that I'm talking about. This is just some scrap steel I had laying around. I could have gotten away with having them bigger. Thicker would have been better too. They're perfectly fine how far they go up, but they should go back closer to the push block. These don't fall on the ground right here. It should go almost all the way to the log left here. So, but it's doing its job for now. It's holding this sorting table in place. Another new thing I'm trying this year, I got a bottom of an IBC tote cut off. I'm using this for all the fine particles that fall through the sorting table. And then I can pick this up pretty easily with a paddle fork and go ahead and dump it out on top of that compost pile I showed you earlier. bucket's pretty loaded now. We don't have the hydraulics curled all the way. They tend to leak down a little bit over lunch, so I'm gonna get fired up, load it up though. Pieces in the bucket and then fire up the skid steer, move those logs around, make our log deck a little more user friendly. We're going back on there, double check, make sure the pins are all the way through the second time at least. So let's load up our new live deck and see how that does up the skid steer. I'm not gonna lie, my first experience loading logs on this live deck, this is a game changer here. I was able to see the logs, they're right there. You can see the tips of the forks, phenomenal. The visibility is top notch. Like, I knew that a skid steer was better, but I've operated skid steers in the past. But holy smokes, like, I can pick exactly which log I want out of the pile. So it made it truly, truly much easier. So hopefully cutting off the pile like this, having them spread out, maybe that's the way to go, since I don't really want to keep getting in and out of the machine like this. With a tractor, it was easy. Getting on and off the tractor was a lot easier than it is getting in and out of the skid steer. But we're going to cut this up and keep splitting. But I think that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Got more wood to cut. So the only drawback I'm seeing so far, what big one, is how it's mudding up the driveway here. I mean, this is all hard packed gravel, but it's still got a layer of mud on top, and it's pushing it around quite a bit because it is a skid steer. When it turns, it's skidding either the front tires or the back tires, depending on how you have it loaded. So, but it seems to be doing pretty good. Time will tell how it does this winter.